I want to take some time to talk about something a little bit personal this time. It's a little bit outside of what I normally do for content, but I noticed that there's this trend of Nikocado avocado weight loss video that is going around the internet, and it's one of those things that is very it kind of hits home a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit more about it. And I'm a little bit more serious than I usually am during these things. I create this space to hopefully be a little bit more of like a getaway. Food is one of those things that it could be some communal, and that's kind of what I want this space on YouTube to be. Or it could be something that is highly addictive, and something that I think I struggle with a little bit. So what I want to do is talk about it, talk about Nikocado avocado. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, he released a video yesterday where earlier in the week he actually released a different video where he was breaking down, crying, talking about how he hated his lifestyle, he hated doing YouTube, and all this stuff. Now I don't know. I'm using the podcast to do this, so if you want to listen along, I have it pulled up on the screen right now. But what I'm talking about is kind of health journeys and being on social media and all that kind of thing. Um, so the whole thing is he released this video where he says he's two steps ahead. And what I want to talk about is when you're creating content for YouTube, it was a whole unveiling, and you can go look at that video if you want. But this is more about kind of my struggle with social media and doing all this stuff, and a little bit about my story as far as my attachment to food and the things we do for social media. So when I started this channel, actually, this channel's existed since 2006. And that was when the Wii came out. And when the Wii came out, there were videos of people throwing their Wii remotes into their televisions and stuff, and we used it for that. I uploaded videos here and there. I think around 2013, I did the Guy Fieri video. And then later on, it was just dabbling with stuff. I have a couple recipe videos that are still up there, making a burger, making some gluten-free chicken marsala, gluten-free tiramisu for Diamond Dallas Page, the wrestler. So there's some fun stuff. But in 2018, I decided to get serious with video. And I left my first video from that run up where I'm talking about weight loss journeys and stuff like that. So if you don't know, around 2010, my weight had gotten to kind of a dangerous level. I wasn't diagnosed with anything in particular, but it was like I had to do something about it. So that was after a kind of important event in my life where I was dealing with some stuff. So when I met my wife here, Cassie, I gained a little bit of weight in that first couple months. So in 2011, I decided to do kind of a weight loss thing. That kind of spiraled. I actually love fitness, and I love conscious eating and stuff like that. I also love food, and that's kind of been a struggle over the last 15 years, probably longer actually. It's probably been my entire life. But around that time, I'd started a blog, which turned into a food blog, which it wasn't intended to. But the whole idea was, I'm doing this food content. I'm also losing weight. And I also, at the same time, got into DDP yoga, and I was doing all that kind of stuff. I became a certified instructor. Then we had our son, and my weight kind of ticked back up. I decided I needed to do something about that. That was around 2017. So I hired a coach, and I worked with her for a few years. I worked with her from 2017 through 2020, actually. Was right around the pandemic was when I decided not to work with the coach anymore. And there you have kind of intersecting things happening with the YouTube here. YouTube is a funny thing. You want your videos to reach out to as many people as possible, but there's kind of a sensationalism that the viewer just wants. People have very limited time, and they don't want to spend their time with some random stranger talking about average food that everybody can get. It's kind of you know, I watch particular things. I was just watching some videos myself on YouTube, so I get it. But what that has you do as a content creator who is looking to reach more people, it has you chasing trends, and it has you kind of sensationalizing things. Now, in that time, I've tried to keep it as real as possible in terms of, um, making stuff. So in 2018, I started the whole thing. The videos at first were kind of awkward. I was making videos about how to make cold brew. I made a video about trading up my GoPro Hero 4 for a Hero 7, and those things got a little bit of traction. But it wasn't until I started reincorporating the blog stuff, like where I was going to restaurants and doing restaurant reviews. I like to call them analysis and breakdowns, where people started catching back on with stuff. And the whole thing with that is it also coincided with the rise of Mr. Beast and everything Mr. Beastification. So you feel like, okay, I got to go bigger with this stuff. So lo and behold, I'm doing my thing. I tried to do a recipe video every week as well as a restaurant recap every week. And, by 2021, we were getting good momentum on the channel. I think it was around that time that I hit 1,000 subscribers. I think right now we're somewhere in the 7,700 range. And then we started doing some travel because the world opened back up. So there's Philadelphia, and we squeezed in 4 days of Philadelphia. We squeezed a whole bunch of stuff into that time. So there's Philadelphia, and then there's a California trip that I'm still working through videos from 2023. And during all these trips, you decide that you want to do as much food as possible. And in that time, and I'm going to share some kind of personal stuff here. In that time, around about late 2022, probably around August, I started feeling a little bit weird, and it was different type of weirdness than I felt before. And I'm in my mid 40s, um, so I decided to go to the doctor and try to figure out what's going on. And he basically, read me the riot act in terms of, you got to essentially stop everything you're doing right now and just focus on your health, because you have type 2 diabetes, you have high cholesterol, you have high blood pressure, and all these things are very serious things that you need to keep in check. So around that time, that you'll notice that a lot of the content kind of shifted in terms of um, being on the spot and eating. Rather, I do more recap style, where I'm sitting in this spot here talking to you about the meals, trying to do it from a value side, where like I'll do the top restaurants in the Outer Banks. I'm not the type of person to just eat for the views. That's kind of you got to be really careful with that, because it sends you into that health spiral. And I don't want you to think that I've done this, for you and all that stuff. No, I've done it all for me. It's not the YouTube stuff that actually sent me into that spiral. It's more the outside of YouTube stuff, where, like, an example, a couple months ago, and I've gone through ebbs and flows of this to the point where, like, now I can't even consistently exercise, because my body has gotten to a point where it can do a certain amount, and then you got to definitely back off. Whereas 15 years ago, I was doing 2-3 workouts a day, and I enjoy working out. And had no problem with it. So, and I haven't even finished my morning coffee here, so we're having coffee together. It's a Sunday morning as I record this, and I decided to do this live so that it kind of, the personal nature of it kind of hits home. I don't know how many people are actually watching live, which is something I struggle with as far as what to do on YouTube here. But another thing that happened in that time between 2021 and now, which is 2024 when we record this, is shorts. So that's one of those things where it's like, you were getting a lot of views early on, and you could work on reaching more people, growing the community, to talk about food. And that's something I love to do. When you guys comment on stuff, it fires me up. It gets me really thinking about the stuff. Um, so I was making more shorts. Um, and you'll notice that even though it seems like now I'm making a little bit more shorts than long form, which is true, they're broken up in a different way. So at first we just had the silly snack reviews where you can see, I'm eating, and I have my son in those as well. We're trying these snacks. I try to find, for the most part, things that are outside of the norm or like a specialty item, uh, you know. But when we record those, and I'm going to let you in on a little bit of the inside baseball, behind the sausage making here. I do those in batches, so we'll get like 15 to 20 snacks, and I think on the last one we recorded 28 at the same time, which was definitely a haul. Um, and what we'll do is we'll just do one bite, and then that's it basically of each thing. It does end up being a pretty high calorie day, and I adjust from there. But those silly snack reviews, they were pulling 5,000 views at first. Then it goes down to like 3,000. Then it goes down to like 1,800. There was a time where like I could rely on those videos getting a consistent 1,800 views. Now it seems, because so many more people are uploading shorts, 5 to 600 is kind of the cap, even on the silly snack reviews, which are designed for, high throughput, high retention, and for you to watch them in loops, just because those are more fun to do that way. So even doing shorts for views is not as viable as it was a few years ago. And that's one of those things where if you're a content creator and you're like this Nikocado avocado, where you're doing mukbangs. So his story is, he was a skinny guy. I think he went to school for nutrition. So, and he's doing these crazy, eating food and stuff. And that's definitely not something I ever really liked watching. I watch competitive eaters from time to time. I shared in my community post here a picture of me and Randy Santel, who's one of the world's, most popular and successful competitive eaters. I shared that, but I'll watch his videos, maybe Matt Stoney here and there. But from there, I don't really watch mukbangs, especially when they're ASMR. It's not something I'm particularly into. But this Nikocado avocado, went out of control. They were ordering huge amounts of food and eating stuff. And the story behind what happened is, he's been on this weight loss journey, and he lost 250 pounds over the last, I think it's year. The timeline's kind of, it's not clear as far as what he actually did. I've seen some people say 7 months, some people say 2 years. It's one of those things that's kind of inspiring, but at the same time, it's kind of like, listen, dude, you got dangerously close to probably, not a great situation. And I'm sure that you weren't in a great situation. Um, when you're overeating, it affects not only your body, also your mind. And you could see it may be that it was an entire giant work, and he was playing us the entire time. But it's kind of like, jumping off a cliff. If you may get lucky and survive it, but 9 times out of 10 you're not gonna. um and as far as my mission statement here for what I'm doing on YouTube, I don't I'm trying to incorporate a little bit more of the storytelling. And food is one of those things where, I'm not a Food Network creator. I watch a lot of things on YouTube. I'll watch, like, Dame Drops from time to time. I'll watch Sunny from, I don't even know what his channel's called, Best Ever Food Review Show, where he's essentially doing like travel channel style, videos. Um, and that's not the production level that I'm looking to reach, especially that you have to do a lot of traveling for that. Um, I'm looking to tell more of the story of the meal. And this was kind of always something that was part of the ethos of even my Dairy X blog back in 2010. There were foodies who were doing breakdowns of food, and there was people who were over analyzing it and turning it into something that it no longer was accessible as far as I was concerned. Like, people are reading this stuff, but are they really relating to it? Whereas I always wanted to be the type of person that, if I'm sharing something with you, as far as like what we're talking about, we're at the table together and we're actually having this meal together and, conversing over it. And I'm hoping that comes through the video stuff as well, because that's kind of what I want it to be. The when you're just chasing views, it's a hamster wheel that is just it's frustrating. And part of the problem is the there's a lot of YouTube help out there that they'll tell you, value the audience. I got a text coming through here. Um, Value the audience, value their time. Um, all this type of stuff. I have to take a quick. Uh, and this is a juicy part you guys aren't going to want to miss. Like I said, we're off the cuff here, and I'm just we're riffing. So they'll tell you value the audience, make sure make value related videos. Don't all right, there we go. That's good. Um don't expect more than one view if you're making videos for yourself. Oh, Jesus. That's enough of that. Usually I silence my phone during these things, and I kind of rushed to get this up because I wanted to record this while I still had a little bit of time and a little bit of darkness here. You can see the light creeping through my curtain if you're watching this. Um, so and I'm pretty intertwined with those things, and I've gone to Vid Summit, and I've met a lot of these creators. And every Saturday I hang out in one of the creators' live stream chats. You'll see me there, Nick Nimmin. And I've conversed with Nick at Vid Summit and online. And he's a YouTube growth expert, understands the platform, understand the types of things that you need to do to grow on the platform. He's given me advice on things that I need to do and stuff like that. And it's not the advice that people want to hear. So for example, he talks about I mean, he has a good point, but I realized this before talking to him. When I do recaps of my local restaurants here, it's kind of hard to relate to for somebody, in California, because they have their own restaurants. And what about upstate New York is going to entice somebody to watch a video about a restaurant that they're never going to go to, and the food just looks average, and all this types of stuff. So you think about it like that, and you're like, yeah, what can I do to make something that more widely is appealing to people outside of the area? So what I try to do is find a story in each type of thing. One of the things that I did earlier this year was go to a macaroni and cheese festival. I was invited to be a judge there, and it was local in the area. But that was a fun way to, tell a story. There were a few things that happened during that day that, it was raining. One of the vendors was putting on a crazy show, and this was something to be a little bit more of a storytelling, at the heart of it. And even with this Nikocado avocado, I think he was just an entertaining person, and doing mukbangs, it was more than just him eating the food. There was a performance to it as well. At the heart of it, and this is something that I realized probably about 3 years ago, but late 2020. So we're going on 4 years now, and I've been consistently posting here for 6 years, since 2018. I think it was September 13th. So we're on the 6-year anniversary of going hard on YouTube, is what I'm going to call it. I lost my train of thought. In that time, the content has taken some dips and dives. I've moved away from doing the recipe videos because to me, I felt like that was less of a chance to connect. It seemed like there were more views coming in for those over time, but more people were coming just for the value of the recipe and just leaving instead of staying and having a conversation about what we're talking about, which is what I always intended it to be. Then there's also a side of that that's kind of like it's hard to it's hard to cater to people who want it to be as accurate as possible, and who if you do something where you say add as much as you like, people kind of criticize you for that. And I'm not the type of cook to be that precise about stuff, which is why I'm not a great baker. I'm more of a, add something, taste, add something, taste. I'm not really a you know hardcore follow this recipe to the T type person. When I do follow a recipe, though, I will follow it to the T instead of making changes and then complaining that the recipe didn't come out right. That's not the type of person I am. But it wasn't the style of content that I wanted to make. Those videos also are really difficult to produce. Whereas fat guy going to the store and ordering something and eating and reacting to it is a little bit more of a easier to produce video, and it also to me creates a little bit more conversation. And trying to find the story in each of those things is kind of what the challenge is to me. I'm actually working through content from lots of different trips. So Outer Banks is one of those where I haven't even touched the 2023 footage yet for the most part. I used a little bit of it in some videos that I posted earlier this year, but there's a lot of that stuff that probably will never see the light of day, just because by the time I end up posting it, which is probably going to be early next year, it's not going to be relevant anymore. And so there's that. But also the for the Outer Banks, it's we have average meals while we're there. It's not really the type of culinary destination that people are really looking for, although we do our best to find hidden gems as much as possible. There was a Philadelphia trip that we took actually in 2023 for our wedding anniversary, where in the course of Friday through Sunday, we ate at like 5 different places. And I think I have 6 or so videos about that already. And I just finished that up. I think John's roast pork was the last video in that series. So there's that. We had California, which I'm finishing up those videos right now. The video I'm working on right now is dining in Disney California Adventure. So I had just recorded that yesterday. It's a whole bunch of the things that we tried, and trying to put the spin on it of this is what we tried in the park, and this is what we liked about it, and this is what you need to find, and this is what you need to avoid. So to make it a little bit value oriented and also tell a few of the stories of the day, that's kind of the spin on that. And I think after that, there are potentially 2 more videos I can get out of that trip, but I think I may do it as one video. We went to brunch at a couple of places in San Diego. But the brunches, as far as what I ordered, they were kind of different, and the places were kind of different. But as far as what the family ordered, there was a little bit of overlap. So I think I might do brunch versus brunch type thing. Again, in the vein of making a story, something that we can talk about and converse about in the comments, and not have to be eating ridiculous amount of food. Here's an example, actually. So in terms of what I've filmed locally recently, it's not been a lot. It's actually been almost nothing. When we go out to dinner, I'll usually get vertical content so that I could do shorts. So if you're paying close attention to what I do in the channel here, you'll see from time to time, inconsistently now, my long form videos pop up. I've been doing more podcast type stuff, more live stuff, and I do a weekly news reaction show because that's something where I don't have to eat to get the views. And we can have the discussion. That's kind of, I think, optimal. So I want to try to grow that. That's Thursday nights at 7:30 if you're interested. But as far as what I recorded, in December last year, 2023, I recorded a couple of Italian sub reviews, and those posted earlier this year. A couple days before I got laid off from work, I recorded a couple of other Italian sub reviews, one at Jimmy John's, one at Subway, all at the same time. And this is one of those examples where if you're chasing the views, you gotta sensationalize it. So what I did was I went to Jimmy John's and I got one sub, and that was like $12 with a soda. Um, but then when I went to Subway, I'm like, you know what? To make this video interesting, getting a Subway sub. Subway is the biggest restaurant in the world, and ordering a sub off the board, anybody can do that and get their own impression over it. So I also ordered all of the Subway sidekicks in order to incorporate into that video. Subway sidekicks are these little snacks. They have a churro, they have a pretzel, and they have a cookie, and they're all foot long. I think the churro was $2, the pretzel was $3, and the cookie was $5. So in the course of that lunch break from work, which I think I recorded that in the course of 45 minutes, in that time, I'm eating a Jimmy John sub, at least taking bites from a Jimmy John sub, a Subway sub, and 3 Subway snacks. And then you have the leftovers. And like I said, it's not what happens for the video that's the problem. It's what happens outside of the video. The video is a very small portion of the actual food intake. And I can't blame what I've done on YouTube here for any of the health situation that I'm currently in and navigating and trying to get myself out of. It's more my choices outside of doing YouTube. So with that said, I'm not really recording as consistently as I was before. In 2022, I was doing a weekly restaurant review, a recipe, and a chicken sandwich review all in the course of the same week. I was grinding like crazy. And now that I notice that I can do something a little bit more methodical, tell a story, not really care too much about, the views taking off. I've very seldom had any videos where I would say are viral or going crazy or anything like that. I consider myself a pretty average creator, even keel. I'm not trying to sensationalize, even though what I'm doing here today is kind of a little bit trying to jump on a trend to talk about something personal. What are we up to here so far? 27 minutes. I'm going to try to wrap this up in a minute or so. So with that said, seeing Nick Avocado, whatever his name is, it's inspiring. It's also troubling. As far as what I do here on YouTube, it's going to continue to be what I'm currently doing. It's a good balance of, doing something fun, creating a conversation with you guys, and all of that type of stuff while not being too taxing on my health. It's one of those things where I can actually focus on my health while I'm doing the YouTube thing. So let me tell you about what I'm doing right now. So, like I said, we're having coffee. I'm trying to hydrate a little bit here, even though coffee is a dehydrator. So I'm on medications for the conditions I told you about earlier. It's one of those things where I actually am going to see my doctor for my physical sometime next week or this week. And in addition to that, you have to do your own thing. So I have a meal plan that I am on for the most part every day. I'm trying not to. I could be pretty strict about it and just say, I'm only sticking to these meals, because what happens is, and last night was a good example of this. If I do a cheat meal, I end up having a little bit of impulse control problem the next few days. Like this morning, I'm like going crazy trying to I have some cravings and I don't want to give into that, because it's kind of a slippery slope. So right now I'm on no sugar, no alcohol, and I'm trying to keep the carbs as moderate as possible, just to try to heal my body and try to get to the point where my weight is manageable, and I'm doing that stuff. As far as activity, you have to be a little bit active too. So we have a Peloton bike. I've been doing Peloton workouts twice a week. One of the physical things I'm dealing with that I can't really it's making it difficult to work out is I have a bone spur in my left leg that, some days it's fine, some other days it's tough. So I'm trying to also alternate between Peloton and DDP yoga. You'll see me wearing my DDP yoga clothes a lot, because I'm a lot more active with DDP yoga. And it's funny, I haven't seen any views come into this video since probably about 16 minutes in. And I'm wondering if the nature of what I'm talking about is making this age restricted or something. Anyway, so I'm doing Peloton workouts, DDP yoga, just trying to work myself back up to a strength and a good weight where I could start managing things. I'm doing, some meal prep. I'm doing a lot of lean protein, a lot of healthy fats. I do protein shakes. And you might see, I might share some of those protein shake recipes because I think I stumbled into something really amazing that I can make fit the macros I'm trying to hit. But that's kind of the whole thing there. And we're gonna keep our eye on it. We're gonna keep doing the thing here. YouTube is a fun little side hobby. It's not my main gig right now. I have no main gig, but that's a story for another day. But the side gig nature of doing YouTube is just a fun, way to connect. And, that's what I hope we have here. And it's not something I'm ever going to sacrifice my health over. Like I said, the health issues arose not because of what we're doing on YouTube here. It arose because of what I'm doing outside of YouTube and the choices that I make in terms of that. Also not exercising for 3 years probably didn't help either. Going from, I was doing Orange Theory fitness workouts, DDP yoga workouts. I was doing weights. I was doing cardio. I was doing a lot of cross training that, in 2019, I can't even blame 2020. I started to trail down in 2019 with it. In that time, that's when that became a thing, where I just, decided I didn't want to work out anymore. And it's unfortunate that happened. And it's unfortunate I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with, but it's also not that big a deal. I have it under control, and we're going to work on it from there. And hopefully, maybe my comeback will be bigger than Nikocado Avocado. You never know. So if you've listened this far along, we're 32 minutes in, and I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, and for being connected here. I may do more of these type of breakdowns. That's why we have the podcast. Maybe not. If not, I hope you join the conversation that we talked about here as far as the food. And if you enjoy food, that's what we're here for. Thanks a lot for listening to me rant about health. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.